Oliver Bearman's sensational debut has put him in a very good position when it comes to his future F1 career, and it seems like he's already working on a situation that would put him in one of the Ferrari-bound teams on the grid as soon as possible. At the age of 18, what Bearman did in his first race with the Maranello team, keeping both Norris and Hamilton at bay and finishing P7 after starting P11, definitely drew some attention from F1 teams. But will Haas go out of their pattern of signing veteran drivers now that they have new leadership, and more importantly, is Bearman the future of F1? Oliver's debut was quite astonishing, considering the fact that he found out he'd be replacing Carlos Sainz just 1 hour before FP3. So all he got in terms of getting to gel with the SF24 and understanding its characteristics is 1 hour of practice. Not only did he impress in its qualifying by finishing P11, only 36 thousandths of a second behind Hamilton, but after he raced some experienced drivers and finished P7, Bearman's response was that he could have done better, and he hoped the soft tyre stint would have lasted longer, which is a very professional response from such a young lad at the age of 18. When talking about his future in F1, Bearman was quite positive about his first and, as of now, only outing in a full F1 race, further elaborating, "I think I put in a good showing for myself, which is the main thing, right? It's difficult circumstances, not a lot of laps on track, but I think I maximised everything today. I felt like I was a bit quicker than Fernando and Russell in front, but not enough to catch. The gap was pretty big. I lost a lot of time trying to overtake Hulkenberg, who used his experience to keep me back for a few more laps than he should have, so that's my bad. But no, it was a good race." However, we all know that this is not the goal of Bearman for his longer term career, which is the same case as any other F2 driver. Oliver would be looking to build onto this momentum and secure a long-term seat in F1. That would have to be done in F2, however, as Oliver is now in a very paradoxical situation in which he has more points in F1 than he has in F2 due to the fact that he didn't race in the second category in Jeddah. That's bound to change as he's competing with Prema Racing. The team has changed their fortunes in the second race of the season, but Bearman is still far away from where he wants to be in that championship. That didn't prevent him from talking about a potential seat in Formula 1, something we know looks like mission impossible for any driver who gets out of this championship, with the last two champions in Drogovic and Vesti not having a seat in F1 and having to chase other racing categories in order to keep their racing skills sharp. Be that as it may, Bearman has done more than enough to catch the attention of Haas, and according to the 18-year-old Brit, he has a very good relationship with the American-based squad in order to make it work in the most competitive championship on the grid. Elaborating on this matter to a further extent, Bearman went on to say, "I don't know what else I can do, because I don't think I'll be in F1 for the rest of the year. I think I did a decent job and that's all I can do, push in F2 and cross my fingers. I have a lot of FPs with Haas this year, so I'm looking forward to building up a relationship and gaining more miles in the car." The truth is that while Bearman is 18 years old, he does have solid experience in driving F1 cars, as he did so last year in Mexico for Haas. On top of that, he was quite competitive in F2 last year, and now that the machinery with Prema has a huge burden on its shoulders to prove that they have what it takes to win the championship, along with Kimi Antonelli, the next wonder kid in the sport, Bearman will face a lot of pressure to give the best out of himself in the F2 championship. This, however, doesn't change the fact that the team he's chosen to represent, and the team that has gone under a complete reshuffle, is more keen to work with veterans such as Hulkenberg and Magnussen, and the fact that they found some extra performance under these drivers and scored their first point in Jeddah under the new leadership of Io Komatsu goes to kind of put a bad reflection on Bearman's case. Be that as it may, even though Steiner has been criticised for many things he's been doing his own way with the American squad, hiring two veteran drivers for a struggling squad is not one of them. So whether or not Haas would want to step out of their normal way of working and put Bearman in the team will raise some questions in the leadership of the team. But you can't ignore the fact that on much older tyres, Bearman has defended against Norris and Hamilton, both of which had the soft compound tyre and were quite competitive at the ending stages of the race. Even Bearman himself said that he already signed the capitulation and was ready to get passed by both Brits at the ending stages of the race, but withstanding this pressure and getting a hug from Hamilton to show respects towards your work will definitely boost your resume if you're to enter F1 anytime soon. When talking about the special moments that Bearman shared with Hamilton, something that could be happening much more frequently in the future if Haas decides to shake things up, the young Brit went on to say, "Hamilton was literally pulling me out of the car. I was struggling a bit. The race was really physical. With a race like this, it's one of the lowest degradation tracks of the season and one of the highest natural Gs. So you're pretty much doing 50 qualifying laps, which is quite impressive. I felt destroyed after the race. Physically, it was a very difficult one, especially in the end when I had the two guys on soft tyres behind me. I had to basically push flat out, and it was a mentally difficult race as expected, and physically I was struggling too, but great fun out there." Winning the Driver of the Day award was more or less an automatic lockup for Bearman, because for you to put the performance you did at the age of 18 in the second fastest car on the grid goes to show that maybe the situation with the drivers in Formula 1 needs to change. We have veterans at the age of 35 plus racing and helping their teams, and while that's definitely needed in times when teams are struggling a lot to pick up points and some extra cash prize money to build some much needed momentum, maybe this needs to change if we're to look at how the young guns are performing once they're given the right opportunity. Although to be fair, Bearman's performance was not the most impressive one we've seen when it comes to a debut. De Vries scored P9 in the worst car on the grid in 2022 in Monza, even though he did it at the age of 26, and after having a lot more experience in driving F1 cars for a variety of teams during the free practice sessions. Yet, being 18 years of age, preparing for an F2 race, and getting a call for an F1 venue to replace Sainz, for the same reason that De Vries got the opportunity to replace Albon back in Monza, is quite abysmal, and it does look like a fairy tale for a driver of Bearman's caliber. Obviously, the seat of Ferrari is taken by the 7-time world champion, and while Prema is related to Mercedes, it would be Antonelli the preferred driver as of now when it comes to replacing Hamilton, due to the fact that Bearman is a driver in Ferrari's academy. This puts a lot of pressure on Haas to change things from their own perspective and make sure that they can head into the new season with a young and prospective driver, similar to one of Schumacher, in order to extract the maximum potential after seeing what Bearman is capable of doing in Ferrari after having such a little time to prepare himself. But as of now, the situation remains clear. Io Komatsu has a very difficult job ahead of him, and he needs to understand the basic principles of the car. In order for this to be done, he needs the feedback of two very experienced drivers. The positive news for Bearman is that both of Haas's drivers are running out of contract, and if things go south pretty quickly with either of them, he would be one of the leaders to replace them. So, with this in mind, do you think that Bearman has a bright future in F1, and more importantly, will that be quite soon in Haas? Let us know in the comments down below.